All right, the Reds, Monday's Talking Reds, joining me today, Dan Morgan, and pretty much the perfect weekend that for Liverpool. Routine win, but routinely good win. Everton getting beat, City beating Chelsea, the Reds cementing their place in the top four. It's all sound basically, isn't it? I mean, the only thing that's left now is for Roy Hodgson's Palace to do as a favour tonight, but you know, can't have everything, can you, mate?
Never know, mate, do you? Never know. Rounds off the perfect weekend. No, great win for Liverpool. I thought it was harder than a lot of people made out. I thought the way the routine's been used a lot, and it is routine in the scoreline, but I think that Liverpool were made to work hard for it, especially the first 40 minutes. Always good to watch Everton get beat at midday on a Saturday. Set your weekends up nice, doesn't it?
Yeah, it was good, wasn't it?
And then going from there, yeah. I thought Arsenal were terrible yesterday.
Absolutely shite.
On a par with one of the most frustrating sets of sides that I've ever seen in terms of just frustration. I mean, you'd rather they got beat 2-0. If I was an Arsenal fan, to get themselves back in it with 45 minutes to go and then just limp their way to a 2-1 defeat. I mean, they're none of our business now, are they?
No. I mean, we'll do a little bit on them in the second half of the show, but yeah, really poor. Definitely out of the race for top four now. And Liverpool basically now need 5 wins out of the last 9 to secure a place in the top four, which is what we want, because we've said over and over that, you know, getting in the Champions League year after year is the way that you progress as a football, the way as a football club. It's the way things have gone. In terms of the game against Newcastle, I mean, there was plenty of, what I liked about it was that there was plenty of energy and aggression to it, if not always the quality. So Klopp has not got stuck in, but he said a little bit that, you know, things weren't quite coming off. I'd be inclined to agree with him, but at the same time I thought, you know, Henderson, Oxlade-Chamberlain, the full-backs again as well, you know, they never stop running, they never stop working, and like, you know, all the focus all season has obviously been on the front three and the goals record, and you know, Salah's there again, 32 now, and I think he's scored in 26 games now, I think it is, this season, which is more than anyone else in the top 5 leagues in Europe, which isn't bad. But all this progress that we're seeing in terms of getting those goals is based on the hard work of those behind, isn't it? And you know, we'll come on to Henderson in a minute, but he's not the only one. There's a few of them that have been putting in shifts for weeks now. Yeah,
I think you've touched on something there, and something I've noticed looking at them over recent months is that there are 11 players on a pitch, but they're getting themselves in a position where they can let the front three be experimental, and they're allowed to make mistakes. Because it's the percentages that they're stacking themselves in favour of in terms of getting themselves into the final third of the pitch, and knowing that chance creation is going to come means that, you know, Sadio Mane, Firmino, even Salah, I thought at times on Saturday, can have the odd bad touch, can have the odd squandered chance, and they know it's going to come again. We're not snatching at chances thinking, God, we have to score now or it's not going to happen. And I think that it's a testament to the front three that they are putting chances away, but it's a massive testament to whoever gets picked behind them, those 8 behind them, because what I thought was really good on Saturday was our recoveries, especially from the full-backs, because we were defending a very high line, playing a very high line, and there weren't many times in the game, but I thought there were a couple of times when Newcastle could have got in, but I thought recovering, I thought we were really excellent, and everything's tailored in this side to let that front three flourish, and I think they must be loving playing for this team, mustn't they, really?
Definitely. I mean, there's a big contrast now for me as well, and Klopp mentioned this about how it actually sort of feels at Anfield as well, and I know Klopp's big on this. He's obviously big on psychology. He's big on how things feel and creating the right atmosphere for the team to flourish. And I was thinking about, if you go all the way back to sort of like when we drew with Burnley at Anfield, and it was like, you know, there was huge frustration in the stands. Everyone's kicking off, you know, everyone's going mad, and like what you just said, like, you know, when there's a missed chance, everyone's like, oh no, and all that. And it doesn't feel like that now, does it? There's a trust now, isn't it, from the supporters? They're watching it and they're going, we know we're a good side, and we know we're probably going to get there and beat these sides now. And like, it's not good enough from the opposition's point of view anymore to just, you know, put everyone behind the ball and work hard, because Liverpool are getting through these sides now.
Yeah, definitely. And I think what you're seeing now is, I think you're seeing 18 to 20 players in the manager's vision. And I think that's dead important. Even when you look at things like team selection, like you say, there's been times this season where you've seen a team go out and you go, oh my God, I can't believe he's playing him instead of him. Or what you're seeing now is, and I don't think I've seen it before in terms of me supporting Liverpool, and I'm 31 years of age, is a team in the vision of what the manager wants, and that's collective all over the pitch. And I think that's massive, and I think that when you get that buy-in, the trust that you get, not only in terms of themselves, but from everyone in the ground as well, which I think is starting to really emanate now, like you say, is only going to serve as a positive for us going forward. And hopefully, you know, we go on and get the job that we need to get done this season, and we take that into next season, and we start on the front foot. And we start on the front foot, and if we can turn 3 of the draws we've had this season and 1 defeat into wins, then we're right up there. Because City won't do what they've done again. It's impossible. And teams won't just go there defeated like they have done. And I know they're a great side, but for me, I'll always say with City, from September onwards, sides went there defeated against them.
Yeah. I mean, you saw that to an extent with Chelsea, to be fair. I mean, the manager's defending that performance again, something we'll touch on in the second half, but, you know, they don't go there trying to win it. They go there trying to not get battered. And there's plenty of sides doing that now against City, Liverpool not being one of them. Liverpool one of the ones who went toe-to-toe and ended up winning. Wanted to talk about Henderson. He's been highlighted by Tony Cascarino in the game section in the Times today. He says, when I hear fans criticising Jordan Henderson, I think, am I watching a different game? He's as important to Liverpool as all their flair players. He keeps things simple. He robs the ball off the opposition. He brings energy to the midfield, chips in with the odd goal. His work allows the creative players to express themselves, which is something we've just been talking about. And I think he's spot on, because you know, it seems to me that there's almost a bit of a confirmation bias with some Liverpool fans about Henderson now. They've sort of written him off, decided he's not good enough, and almost look out for mistakes when they go and watch him at Anfield or go and watch him full stop and go, see, he's not good enough. Whereas, you know, I watched that game. Look, there's been games where he's been frustrating, but I think the game on Saturday, Everton's forward from him, Everton's positive from him. He's getting blocks in. There's a boss slide tackle on one side of the pitch at one point. He's all over the show, and again, he's that basis for the front three to do what they're doing.
I've never seen anyone skin him. You know, and people will say, oh, you know, like you say, oh, he gets caught in possession, or people go past him. I've never seen anyone skin him. Since last season, I've seen players try and knock a ball past him and run round him, and it doesn't happen. What I really liked about him Saturday is I was urging us to be a bit more direct through the middle. I think Newcastle were really good in shifting us out wide and matching our numbers. And I thought if we could basically be a bit more direct in running at them through the middle, which I thought Oxlade-Chamberlain's done really well, then that's how we penetrate them. But where Henderson come into that was, he's got this stabbing pass forward where he really asks a question of whoever he's giving the ball to, I think. And I think sometimes in a game where you just need that little bit more intensity or that little bit more ambition and directness, he's really got that in terms of he really punches it. He punches into someone's feet, and half the time I always say he's one of them players who's got a pass that tells the other player what to do with it. You know, whether to run 5 yards further onto it, whether to take it into his feet quick and turn or what. But he does a lot of great work for this side, and it's important now to think of him in this. I think in this number 6 position, we had this thing with him last year where we thought everything had to come through him, and if he wasn't fit or we couldn't rely on him, then, like you say, people were writing him off in some kind of confirmation bias. But again, now, you know, he can miss a game, and everything can function as normal in the world. Everything's all right. We're not going to be dropping points just because we take one player out the side now, and I think that helps him in terms of managing his fitness long term and stuff as well. So all's good with him. You know, he's the captain of the football club, which I don't think is a big an issue as has been made out at times this season, because he must do, and I think he does do a lot of work off the pitch. But he's the captain of the football club. He's playing games for the majority of the season. He's contributing to Liverpool's winning games. All good. Yeah,
it is all good. And Oxlade-Chamberlain as well, some pleasing comments for me where he had to go back at Thierry Henry and Gary Neville, who both questioned the fee that Liverpool paid for him, and also questioned what he does as a player. He was very influential on Saturday again. Obviously sets up the first goal, and a long way now from sort of, you know, that game, if we go all the way back to when he played against Leicester, and he had a bit of a shocker. You could see his confidence was low. A few touches went against him, and balls were going out of play and things like that. And it ended up being that, you know, some smart arse on social media clipped all the things together, you know, it got shared everywhere, and it was like, you know, what a crap player he is. So he's proven some of his critics wrong, and some people don't like this kind of thing when a player has a pop back, but I personally do, because it should get to him, and he should want to improve, and now he has. What's wrong with saying, fuck off?
And there's it's not a mutually exclusive thing either, is it? You can't say, well, you can have a pop at me because you're a pundit, but I can't say anything back. And to be fair to him, you know, he has proved them wrong this season, and I really like him in terms of a person. I think he
seems sound,
but he seems to do a lot of self-evaluation as a person, as a player. And I think if you're Jurgen Klopp, I think you're loving that. I think you're looking at him going, all this lad wants to do is improve. All he wants to do is become a better footballer for this football club. Sound. I'll nurture that. You know, he's like a sponge, you can imagine, in training and stuff. He'll be taking in everything that gets taught to him. He obviously looks at his own performances and sees where he can improve, and even today
he did that as well. Yeah, but he did that as well, because what I liked about it is he has a go back and he says, I think it's a bit silly what he said at the time. He's had interaction with them both of them as a professional to different degrees. So he said, I don't really understand, it was a bit stupid what he said. But then he also said, if they're talking about my end product, it's something I'm really working on. And it was like, fantastic.
And then he goes on to talk about how we can still improve in the future. You know, we talked about one at the weekend where he should have hit and he tried to slip Firmino in. Brilliant. That's what we want, isn't it? That's exactly what we want.
I mean, where we are now is that Liverpool might not have played, you know, brilliantly for 90 minutes. You can't always be swashbuckling, but they got the results. They carried on the run. They're in a really strong position now, second place, obviously, in the league with United to play tonight. I just think now as well that we really, as a set of fans, need to be talking this side up, need to be talking this season up as well. I mean, we've only finished second place in the league, whether people like it or not, 4 times since 1990. So if we get runners-up spot this season, it's a marker, it's something in the ground to say Liverpool are progressing as a football club. It means we're back in the Champions League as well. It means, like you said, that you've got momentum to take into the next season. And someone we always give a shout out to on Twitter, Andrew Beasley, bass tune to Red on there, puts a lot of interesting stats out there all the time, and sort of saves me a lot of work as well, because I was actually wondering, and then he put it out there, so it was made up. I was thinking, how does this compare after this many matches to past seasons? Because it feels pretty good to me. And what he's done is Liverpool in the Premier League over the last 10 years, points after 29 matches, which is where we are. So Jurgen Klopp's side, 60 points after 29 matches. It's only been bettered twice by Liverpool sides in the last decade. Benitez's side of 08-09 had 61, and Brendan Rodgers' side of 13-14 had 62. So he's pretty close, you know, to that kind of season. And both those seasons are held up as being really good seasons, as being seasons we went close to the title. I think it just underlines how good City have been, really, and how that's skewing maybe some people's views.
Yeah, definitely. And look, the margin for error this season has been, you know, it's been slim to none, really. I mean, you look at years gone by. I always remember Ferguson saying 10, 15 years ago that you could only lose 6 games to win the league. You know what I mean? You can't lose 2 now.
No.
It's absolutely mental. But in terms of us and our consistency, yeah, absolutely massive. And I think that it's in some ways an indictment on the league table that 2 teams who've gone 17 and 18 games unbeaten through a season aren't even in the top 2. You know, all right, we are today, but if United win tonight, we're not even in the top 2. And I think in times gone by, maybe there'd be a little bit more of a challenge from sides who you'd define as mid-table, if you like. But that's not to take away from this Liverpool side. I think you know, the proof's in the pudding there. Any other season, that's a title-winning contention season, and we're going into the last run of games thinking that we might be able to do something. And like I say, it's just down to City's complete and utter dominance that we're not. But let's take that, let's use that. And Klopp's a kind of manager, isn't he? He'll see everything good that's in that, and he'll chasm that into the players, and he'll funnel that into their self-belief.
But so should we, though, is what I'm saying.
Yeah,
you know, we should see the positives in this season as well, rather than, you know, continually looking, you know, for a downside somewhere, really. I mean, there's another one out there as well. Dan Kennett put a tweet out there, just points after 97 league games in charge of Liverpool. Dalglish in his first spell had 198, Shankly in Division 2 had 186, and then you've got Klopp 184, which is better than Paisley, better better than Benitez and Rodgers, better than Evans, better than Houllier, and obviously better than Graham Souness. But it just again shows that sort of over a long period of time now, Liverpool are pointing in the right direction under this manager. So let's talk the manager up, let's talk the team up, let's enjoy it, let's live in the now and stop talking about the past. And let's just accept that Liverpool are pointing in the right direction right now. Remaining 9 fixtures for Liverpool, obviously United at the weekend away at Old Trafford. Be fantastic to win that one. Watford at home, Palace away, Everton away, Bournemouth at home, West Brom away, Stoke home, Chelsea away, and Brighton at home to finish the season. Nothing there to me jumps out as something we should really be fearing.
No, and United, and it'll look after itself because it's such a huge fixture. But in some ways, if you look at the logistics of it, it's kind of a free hit for us, really. And I think the pressure will be more on them than it will us. It'll be really interesting to see what type of side he goes with. Yeah. But after that, games that we should and can be winning, and games that should get us over the line. And I think even if you're looking at Chelsea away, the state they're in at the moment, it's a side tailored for this Liverpool team where you can go away and do the business at. So for us, keep the momentum going, and I think it's that important to realise that, since Swansea, we've gone 6 unbeaten again. Yeah. And it's like you said before, it's like you've just touched on, it's about trusting this side now. It's about saying that all the narratives we've had in the past about the defending, about the consistency, put it out the window, trust them to get it done, and I think we will do.
Klopp as well has been talking about continuing to be aggressive. He's talked about he wants his side to stay angry, which I liked as well. He was just basically saying that it's a nice time to be a Liverpool fan, a nice time to be a Liverpool player. All the interviews you'll be asked to do, you'll be asked positive stuff. You can be all happy and smiley. And he actually says there isn't much opportunity to get aggressive. I'm loving all this aggressive talk here, Jürgen. Let's keep it going. But the time to get aggressive is obviously in games, and if you can't get aggressive going away to Old Trafford, well, there really is something wrong. I mean, the Porto one, we'll probably talk about that a bit tomorrow on tomorrow's show, but I mean, 5-0 up, probably not too much to worry about there. I think we're fairly safe ground to say that we're 1 foot or 1.5 feet firmly in the quarter-finals. Just wanted to give a shout out as well. It's always nice to get a little bit of praise, particularly from unexpected sources, and we had a couple of those at the weekend for Ben Johnson's ratings on the Anfield Wrap. If you haven't seen them after every game, Ben rates all the players out of 10, the usual thing, but he does it in his very own way. It's fair to say that he's got his own style, his own sense of humour, and it's well liked. And unexpectedly, Gary Lineker tweeted about them at the weekend. He says, not your archetypal player ratings, but quite amusing. Nice one, Gary. And then Rory Smith of New York Times fame followed that up by saying, there was a point about 3 months ago where Ben Johnson's player ratings from the Liverpool games became the best writing on the internet, which is quite the shout. So if you're not on those, if you're not reading the stuff on the website, why not? Because there's some good stuff on there.
Is Rory needling him a bit though by saying he's dropped off in the last 3 months?
Well, you could read it that way, couldn't you? But Ben seems to have enjoyed himself this weekend, so fair play to him. And he's right, we got a load of hits off that as well. So nice one, Rory, and nice one, Gary Lineker. And as I say, if you're not reading the AnfieldWrap.com, why not get involved? Give it a read. We'll be back in a minute. We're going to have a look at what else is in the papers today. It's turning out to be a fantastic season, this, for Liverpool. 100 and odd goals already hit the back of the net, plenty of good times already, and plenty more to come. We're going to Old Trafford, we're going to Goodison Park, we're going to Stamford Bridge, and we don't have to fear anything out of any of those trips, because Liverpool right now are a match for anyone. We've got Europe too, we've got the Champions League, we've got 1 foot already in the quarter-finals after what we did out in Porto. So we've got plenty to look forward to this season, and at the Anfield Wrap, we'll be there every step of the way, at every game, talking about every game, before the game, after the game, immediately post-match, and in detail. We also talk about football fan culture, about ticket prices, about safe standing, about everything it is to be a fan. And we talk about past matches, past players. There's loads and loads on Liverpool Football Club every day, every week from the Anfield Wrap, and it's only £5 a month. If you're not listening already, why not? Go to the Anfield Wrap /subscribe. Get involved. Okay, today's newspapers then, and Jamie Redknapp has a column in the Daily Mail. He went off on one on Sky Sports, if you didn't see him. I only saw a bit of it and just decided to turn him off and go and walk the dog, to be honest, because I think he chats an awful lot of shit. And on that theme, he's been doing just that in the Mail. I mean, look, Chelsea's performance against Man City wasn't great, obviously. It wasn't a great watch, that game, full stop. But I guess from City's point of view, similar to what we were talking about in part one, they just won. And they're not particularly bothered. From Chelsea's point of view, there's the clip that's gone round of them all walking round and not really closing down. Equally, though, there's some stats kicking around that they did actually run quite a lot, and that it's not as bad as is being made out. So the bit I take exception to in Jamie Redknapp's column is it says Chelsea had no strikers, no fight, and no ambition. That's not how champions should play. Well, in case you missed it, Jamie, they haven't been playing like champions for quite a bit. Meanwhile, Man City have, and that's who they were playing. But the line in particular that I just thought was absolute bollocks. He says the club should refund their supporters who travelled to Manchester and were forced to sit through that abject performance. Really? I mean, You've referenced, Jamie, that they were champions last season. They've won the European Cup. They've had a lot of good times under this ownership. They've had some top managers, some top players. I think they're all right, It's not like they're lying awake at night going, is my club going to go bust tomorrow, which is the case for some supporters out there. So refund them. Why?
That's exactly it. It's a ludicrous statement in it. It's just that, like you say, there's genuine sides who are on the verge of falling off a cliff in terms of whether they exist or not going forward, and he's coming out with that about the side who last year won the Championship. They've recently, in recent years, won Champions Leagues, FA Cups. They're having a bad season, and they're still well within reaches of the top four. It's just absolutely ludicrous. And I think there's kind of this thing now with Sky, I think, where they seem to be picking one thing out of a 90-minute game that they can hang the hat on, and be controversial about and go, oh, look at how bad this is. The Neville thing after the kid crying after the goal last week is another thing where it's almost like a headline for themselves.
It's very tabloidy, isn't it? Which is quite mad when you think about Monday Night Football, for instance, which is the complete opposite.
Exactly.
That's rightly held up as brilliant football analysis. They go in depth. You've seen Jamie Carragher and Gary Neville talk about the amount of work that they put into it. You see Carragher's Instagram or whatever, and he's going down there at 6 o'clock in the morning. They're working on it all day. They're practicing it, and then they do the show itself. And to sort of jump, go for these really tabloidy lines, like sort of, they're not doing this, they're not doing that. It's a disgrace type stuff all the time.
Interestingly, never seen Redknapp while he was Liverpool captain refunds a shit away performance.
No, he never. There was no shout for Jamie for that, was there, back in those days?
Into his own pocket.
Yeah, funny that one. All right, well, let's jib Jamie Redknapp, which is maybe what Sky should do, and move on to Arsenal. It feels like we're always kicking Arsenal, but I mean, they're very easy to kick right now. And as you mentioned earlier, Dan, an absolutely shite performance against Brighton. Brighton aren't exactly a top side, and yet, Glenn Murray absolutely bullied them all afternoon. Did you watch the game? Did you see where Glenn Murray was put through? And he just went, I can't run that fast, boy. just turned
Why
back.
isn't this on my head?
Yeah, it was absolutely brilliant. He just went, because the commentator literally goes, Glenn Murray, he's through, he's one-on-one with the keeper. And he just went, nah. Just turned back and laid it and was like, as if I can run. You know what I mean? I loved it. But in the Telegraph today, just to underline, how grim it is for Arsenal right now. Sam is back behind the camera today, looking like he's about to top himself. But the most losses after 14 games of a calendar year under Wenger. The 8 so far in 2018, that's the worst that it's ever been under Wenger. Arsenal have lost 4 successive games for the first time since October 2002. They haven't kept a clean sheet in their last 11 Premier League games, equaling their worst run in the competition, and they've taken 13 points from their 15 away league games, their worst run since 1989-90. And yet those 8 defeats as well in 2018, that's worse than West Brom, worse than Huddersfield, worse than Everton, worse than Burnley, Watford, West Ham, etc. I mean, it really is shit now for Wenger, isn't it? I mean, I just... every year he seems to do something where he clings on. I mean, in the reports they're still talking about the Europa League and that sort of thing, but I just can't see him turning it around this time.
They're getting beat by Brighton, Robbo. You know, you're talking about going on and winning the Europa League, and what would worry me the most if I was an Arsenal fan is that they've had no bounce whatsoever from signing Aubameyang and Mkhitaryan.
He looked really... He didn't look like he was enjoying it,
no,
did he?
He didn't at all.
His body language was terrible.
No one's told him, clearly not told him about an away to Brighton in March, have they, when briefing him about the Premier League. But you see sometimes a big January like that, you'd expect some kind of bounce around the squad. And I mean, Wenger's comments after the game were just bizarre, weren't they, as well, about putting his kecks on or taking his kecks off to put his shirt on.
They've lost the trousers. Quite why we need to be talking about kecks when you've lost 2-1 to Brighton. Not really sure.
It's a poor man's Carvajal comment, isn't it, to be honest?
It's not... I don't know, I'm not an Arsenal fan, obviously, but I kind of think you don't want your manager to be sort of trying to make light of it and come out with smart-ass comments.
No, he had a bit of a smile on his face doing it as well, which would wind me up. You know, it's a serious situation for Arsenal. I mean, it's 2 years now that they've got nowhere near the top 4. And for a side who were consistently finding themselves in the top 4 for such a long time, I think that could signal the start of something really damaging for them. And the sides like Liverpool now, who are, and you know, no disrespect to Arsenal, but should be using Arsenal as a marker to go, no, these don't finish above us for the next 5 years. You know, we try and match them as best we can off the pitch, but on the pitch, they don't get near us. And once you find yourself in that situation, we've found it in recent years, it's very hard to get yourself back.
The worry as well is like literally what you do to replace Wenger. I mean, he's been there 2 decades. He's been in charge of everything. He's the man. He runs Arsenal Football Club basically, which is probably why he's clung on as long as he has in recent years. So how do you replace that? I mean, there's a danger, isn't there? Like United after Ferguson, that you're going to go through a couple of duds probably before you get back to where you once were, and they're going to have to. I mean, already I think what's interesting is that Wenger's gone back on a lot of his policies. He used to only sign players of a certain age. He didn't really fork out the money. Even though he had the money, if you know what I mean, he seemed clever. He seemed ahead of the game. All of a sudden now he seems to be clutching. You're buying the obvious players. You're paying Ozil 350 grand a week. It all seems it's getting a little bit desperate.
It's like who sacks the man at the top, do you know what I mean? And when you hear stories that basically a light bulb can't be changed without his permission around the place, then it's...
Sam's story, that.
There you go, Sam. But yeah, I mean, it's... In terms of him and his successor, I mean, is he picking the successor? Is he having a say in it? They obviously haven't got anyone lined up.
No.
Clearly haven't got anyone lined up, Arsenal. And that's a bit mad in itself when you consider some of the talent out there who you think Arsenal could get in terms of the status of the club. But it just seems to me that if Wenger says, which he evidently is, I'm staying, then no one seems to be challenging that or doing anything about it. And when that seeps down into the dressing room and onto the pitch, and like you say, they don't seem to have any kind of identity.
No.
Which, for an Arsenal side or an Arsenal team under this manager, you wouldn't associate. Then it's a recipe for disaster.
Elsewhere then, another club that is currently wrestling with a manager that they don't really seem to want, it's the Mighty Blues again. It's becoming a thing now that we slag these off every single episode, and why not? I really enjoy it, I do love it. I've had people stopping me saying, keep doing that, keep doing it. Keep going on about Sam Allardyce and his gravy. Well, Sam Allardyce and his gravy, he's been pouring it everywhere this weekend. They got beat again. And what was amazing about it was, you sit down, you watch it, the pour, the crap. You sort of felt the game was going to go the way it eventually went. And then you literally had Sam Allardyce laughing at their fans in his post-match interview, which, if I supported them, I'd be going absolutely mad. I mean, they're talking about decisions he made and clearly not popular with the fans. And he's smirking away. And he just looks like a fella who, it's gone very Hodgson. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
The situation, it's gone. Yeah. I mean, you had the fans who were at the game, the Everton fans singing "fuck off, Sam Allardyce," and you're just a fat, greedy bastard. I mean, when you've got that situation, it's very hard to get out of it again. And it is where we were with Hodgson, and you saw Gerrard talking at the weekend about it wasn't great to be playing under Hodgson in the end. You know, we were singing for Dalglish and stuff like that, while literally Hodgson was still our manager. It's a similar situation there now, and you know, all the gravy jokes, fantastic, and but you kind of feel like the fans want him to jump into the gravy boat and float away very soon.
I think they do, to be fair, and fully in the knowledge that we're probably going to get called two virgins pretending to be on Sky Sports.
Yeah.
We have to talk about just how bad Everton are, because it's a big story if you're from this city, and I think that, look, I think with Allardyce, a lot of them didn't want him there to begin with, and for me, you know, and Evertonians probably won't like this, but he's given them a few home truths, and you don't come out and say a lot of the stuff he said. It's an unwritten rule. But to say that, you know, that they're not a big power, they're not a big footballing industry that are gonna rule England or break the Champions League or whatever else, is a dose of reality for them. And unless you're backed by a country now, in the way in which City and PSG are, you're just in the same boat as everyone else. He can't do anything about the fact that in the summer, Everton basically had a clear out they should have had after Martinez's first year, but managed in some way to just age the squad by about 8 years and conduct a complete and utter mismatch of players. They're in a real mess. Yeah. I mean, tactically, they've done nothing on Saturday to stop what Burnley were doing. I thought Michael Keane was awful.
He was all over the show.
All over the place, but a ball down the channel is basically Sunday League, and they done nothing to quell it. Like,
that's all he did as well.
There was Evertonians on Twitter going, why aren't we going 3-5 at the back to sort this out? And nothing was being done. And it'll be interesting. I've got a feeling he might be there next year, you know. Honestly, he seems to think he will be.
There's some mad link, you know. I don't know who's made the link. It got mentioned before, and I've seen our mate Louis Berry tweeting about it. But there's some link going on that Wenger ends up at Everton. I mean, really? Wow. Wow, if that happens. I mean, you know, they did break glass and crumble the OXO cube, and they are where they are. So, you know, all the best with it. It's gonna prove costly to get rid of the king of gravy. I know that. And he's probably looking forward to another payday, so he can live on Bisto for the rest of his life. On the Anfield Wrap today, then there is the free show out there which stands on. There'll also be the review, usual concept, getting into depth about quite how Liverpool got past Newcastle and you know, got one over Rafa, Benitez and that sort of thing, and there'll be an under the lights show as well, which will be previewing the Porto game, and we've got a few different voices lined up for that one, so it should be a good show. All those things on the Anfield Wrap today. If you don't subscribe to our podcast, please do give them a go. Listen to the free show as you you know, your starter drug, and then if you're into that, progress to tour player as the Class A's, if you like. Okay, so we'll be back tomorrow with Talking That.